A very good morning, my dear students. So this is going to be our first video, and the very first video is actually going to focus on class 8's Poorva, the book Poorva, okay, the Ncert book, and we are going to begin with the first story, that is the wit, okay, the wit that won hearts. Okay, it's actually a story about Tenali Rama, about the empire of Krishnadeva Raya, the Vijayanagar Empire, okay, the South Indian Empire, the very famous empire. It is actually a story about how Tenali Rama, one of the most important Ashtadikgajas of Krishnadeva Raya's empire, had solved a problem. Okay, so before getting into the before getting into the very story, we need to know about a few things, okay, which is very important. The first thing will be about Vijayanagar Empire. Second thing is going to be about Krishnadeva Raya. Third, about the Ashtadikgajas. Who are the Ashtadikgajas? What do you mean by Ashtadikgajas? And about Tenali Rama, and slowly and gradually we'll afterwards get into the story. Okay? So now let's begin with the the Vijayanagar Empire. Okay. So this Vijayanagar Empire, I guess, it's my belief that my dear students are already aware of it. So just 2-3 points about the empire that that's what I'm going to say in front of you all, okay, so that I can share it with you. You people are not confused with what this Vijayanagar Empire is. Okay, so a bit ideas about Vijayanagar Empire let us get. So let's know about the founders. Who are the founders? Who founded the Vijayanagar Empire, and what was this empire founded? The time when it was founded, it was in 1336. Okay, and the founders, very important. We need to keep in mind about the founders also. There were actually two founders. Okay, one is the Harihara 1. One founder is, the name of the founder is Harihara the 1, or you can say Harihara the 1st. Another one is Bukkaraya the 1st. Okay. So you need to know about Vijayanagar Empire. So they are the founders, Harihara 1, Harihara the 1st, and Bukkaraya the 1st. Okay, and the capital. The capital is Hampi. The capital of Vijayanagar Empire is Hampi. So this much important ideas about Vijayanagar Empire would be enough for beginning the story. Okay, the second thing that is important again to know about is the very ruler. Is it clear? There were several other rulers, but the most important and the prominent ruler of Vijayanagar Empire is Krishnadeva Raya. Okay, so about this Krishnadeva Raya only we are going to read, rather about the empire of Krishnadeva Raya we are going to read. Okay, so now let's get some ideas about Krishnadeva Raya, which are important before beginning with this chapter. Okay, so Krishnadeva Raya, so before getting into his about his characteristics, we need to know about the ruling period, the time. Okay, from when to when had he ruled? So he had ruled from 1509, okay, 1509 to 1521 CE. 1529 CE. I'm so sorry. Okay, so this was the ruling period of Krishnadeva Raya, and this very man, okay, he was the greatest ruler of the Vijayanagar Empire. We need to keep this in mind. Okay, so what else do you need to know about Krishnadeva Raya? Like, for example, he was actually the pioneer. Pioneer of what? Pioneer of art, culture, literature. Okay, he was the foremost person of Vijayanagar Empire to actually focus on Telugu literature. Okay, so he was a pioneer of art, literature, and culture of the South Indians, you can tell. Okay. And what else? You need to know about a few works of Krishnadeva Raya. Since he is a pioneer of art and literature, obviously he also, it will be fortunate to know that he had also written some literary works. The very first thing that students need to remember is about the very famous text, okay, the Telugu literature. It is Amukta Nalyada. Okay, so this is one of his very famous works. There is another very famous work. This is an epic. Okay, another one is a Sanskrit drama that he had written. Sanskrit drama. Just think about the very importance of language. Okay, Sanskrit was very famous during that time, and the name of that drama is, the Sanskrit drama is Jambavati. Okay, it is Jambavati. It is Jambavati Parinayam. Okay, Jambavati Parinayam, the name of the Sanskrit drama. Is it clear? So this important ideas about Krishna Deva Raya is more or less important. Now what do we need to know about? Now it's very important to know about the Ashtadikgajas. Okay, so Ashtadikgajas. What do you mean by Ashtadikgajas? Anybody in the comment box? Please, if you know what is the meaning of Ashtadikgajas, I'll definitely be telling it. But before that, if you know it, please mention. Ashtadikgajas. Ashta and Dikgajas. There are two parts to this word. Ashta means 8. Okay, Ashta means 8. And the Gajas, this word means elephant. But here, Ashtadikgajas actually means the royal scholars. Okay, the 8 most prominent scholars of Krishna Deva Raya's rule, or of Krishna Deva Raya's court. So they were the 8 most prominent scholars, and amongst those 8 Diggajas or Ashtadikgajas, 8 scholars, amongst them Tenali Rama is one of the foremost. Okay, about whose wisdom we are going to read very soon in the story. Okay, so these Ashtadikgajas, they actually contributed to the art and literature of this era, and because of their works, okay, it's very important to keep it in mind that because of their contribution, this era of Krishna Deva Raya is called the golden era of Vijayanagara Empire, or the golden age of Vijayanagara Empire, as well as the golden age of Telugu literature. Fine. Now it's important to know a bit about Tenali Rama. Its full name is Tenali Rama Krishna. Clear? Now, if my students have previously read stories about Tenali Rama, they can write down the names of those stories, okay, or they can narrate an incident of what he had done, how had he solved different problems, okay, because Tenali Rama is just like Gopal Bhar of Krishna Chandra's court, or you can tell he is like the Birbal of Akbar's court. So Tenali Rama is like the Birbal of Akbar's court. Okay, like he is now the Birbal of Krishna Deva Raya's court. So he was actually known for what? He was known for his wit, humor and intelligence. Just like if there is any student, I don't know if any student is there who is listening to my video or audio, okay, or watching this video, if you are from Krishnanagar, if you are from Nadia district, please comment below so that I have an idea. Okay, so just as I've said, just like Gopal Bhar was the wittiest scholar of Krishna Chandra, Raja Krishna Chandra's court of Krishnanagar. Okay, after whom the name of our city, okay, of Krishnanagar has been Krishnanagar. The city name has come from Raja Krishna Chandra's name. So if there is anybody who knows about Krishna Chandra, please do comment me below. Okay, so just like Gopal Bhar, we have Tenali Rama. Just like we have Gopal Bhar, Krishna Chandra Raya, the very Vijayanagar Empire ruler, had Tenali Rama to solve his problems, to teach lessons to the people. What do Bhars do? They are not very harsh people. By their logics, by their sensible understanding, they try to bring lessons, they try to teach lessons to the people. Okay, and how do they teach it? Is it in a very harsh way? No, not at all. In a very humorous way, in a very funny manner. Okay, so this is all about the few important details that were required before starting the story. Is it clear? So you don't worry about this notes. I'll provide you a PDF of this. Okay, so now let's begin the new chapter. All right. Well, so now let's start with the text. The Vijayanagara Empire was renowned for its glory, wealth, and cultural achievements. Among its many illustrious rulers, Krishnadevaraya, who ruled from 1509 to 1529 CE, stood out as a wise and powerful monarch. See, I've already discussed all these ideas. So what we see here is Vijayanagara Empire was renowned. Renowned means was it was well known. For what? It was well known for what? It was well known for its glory. It was a glorious empire. It was so filled with richness. Okay, be it riches in terms of money, in terms of culture, literature, in terms of scholars, in every aspect, the Vijayanagara Empire was extremely wealthy, and it also had several cultural achievements. See, obviously when you have the Ashtadiggajas of an empire, it's quite natural that that empire is going to have several cultural achievements also. Okay, so among its many illustrious rulers, means famous rulers, Krishnadeva Raya stood out as a wise and powerful monarch. Means he is the one who was the most famous and the most wise and the most powerful monarch. Means most important rulers. Monarchs means most important rulers. Okay, so rulers of his time. His reign is often referred to as the golden era of Vijayanagar Empire. So this one also I've already discussed. Okay, so his reign is referred to as the golden era. Means the era when everything is so filled with richness. Okay, be it financial richness, be it political, be it cultural, from every aspect the empire was very rich. Okay, and it was a golden time, a time when art, literature, and architecture flourished. Means it was so prominent. A great patron of learning. Patron means one who supports, one who promotes something. So he was a great patron of learning. Okay, knowledge. Krishnadeva Raya was not only an eminent warrior but also a gifted poet. So from here we get to understand that he was not only an eminent warrior. Warrior means a fighter. Okay, a person who goes on for wars. Okay, but he was also a very gifted poet. He was good in two things. He was a very good warrior. He could fight wonderfully amongst, against other rulers, and he was also a very good poet. His works, such as the epic, see, this I've already mentioned, the Amukta Malyada and the Sanskrit drama Chambavati Parinayam, are acclaimed even today. So, as we get to know, he was a very famous poet. Obviously, a few works a few works of his should also be known to us. Even there are many scholars who are researching on his works. Okay, so these are even relevant in today's times. Got it? Is it clear? I guess the first page is clear to my students. It further says that Krishnadeva Raya's court was home to eight. One second. So yes, so what we get to know, Krishnadeva Raya's court was actually home to eight celebrated poets, collectively known as the Ashtadiggajs. See, this information also I have already provided. So these poets, including Alasani Pedana, okay, so one of the Ashtadiggajs, one of the eight scholars. One is Alasani Pedana and Tenali Ramakrishna, enriched the literary tradition with their masterpieces, means with their master strokes, with their wonderful ideas, poetic ideas and thoughts. They have actually enriched, means made the literary tradition of Vijayanagar Empire very much filled with riches. Why? Because the very literary works were so praiseworthy of this age. Tenali Ramakrishna in particular was known for his quick wit and humor, just like Gopal Bhar of our Krishnanagar, earning him a special place in the king's court, both as a poet and a witty advisor. So these all ideas I've already discussed with you people. His clever solutions to seemingly insurmountable problems made him a beloved figure in the empire's history. So, the very advice or the very solutions that actually he used to give to insurmountable problems means problems that are so very difficult to solve. Okay, problems that cannot be solved by anybody, but the Vijayanagar Empire had whom? Tenali Raman, who could solve any problem that came into the court, or at least that came before him. Even the wisest rulers face moments of disharmony. Okay, disharmony means when the wisest of the people cannot even understand how to bring a proper solution to a difficult situation or to a difficult problem. And at one such time, the king had a quarrel with his queen, Thirumalambal, over a seemingly trivial matter. So here it is said that even the wisest rulers, okay, wisest rulers, who is being referred to here? It is being referred to Krishna Devaraya, wisest ruler. It is being referred to Krishna Devaraya. So it happened that even this wise ruler once had a moment of discontinuity, or you can say a moment of difference, okay, difference of opinion, a kind of a problematic situation that came up in his life. And he had what had happened? He had a quarrel with his queen. What is the name of the queen? It is Tirumalambal. Okay, so over a very trivial matter, means unnecessary, okay, unimportant matter. For weeks he did not utter a single word to her. You can understand, it is like, it's true that it is a quarrel between a king and a queen, but in common days we also see, okay, it's just like a quarrel between a girl and a boy, or a man and a woman, okay, over some trivial matters. We often see that the quarrels are generally not on huge important matters, but it is on the most silliest of things. Okay, I mean, silliest of the reasons become the main reason for quarrel. So such has happened with the king Krishnadevaraya and his queen Thirumalambal. What happened? For weeks he did not utter a single word to her, and in his frustration stopped visiting her altogether. Very, very serious situation. His absence cast a shadow over the palace, and the once cheerful corridors seemed quiet and forlorn. See, forlorn means it seems very lonely. Okay, it seems as if no one lives in the palace. You know, the cheerfulness, the happy atmosphere altogether vanished as the king stopped talking to his queen. Okay, it altogether cast shadow, means um, a dark layer, a gloomy atmosphere um erupted in the very palace of Krishnadeva Rai. Okay, just so till this much, is it clear to my students? My dear students, if you have any doubts, you can definitely write it in the comment box. Okay, afterwards, I'll definitely see those problems and I'll solve it out for you. Thirumalambal, distraught and upset, distraught means disappointed, frustrated, and upset, tried her best to resolve the issue but failed. So she had tried a lot, okay, to solve the situation, to bridge the gap between her and the king, but however, she failed in it. With no other alternative, she decided to seek the help. She thought of asking help from Tenali Rama, the court's brilliant and witty poet. Rama listened patiently as the queen recounted the incident in detail. One second, my dear students. So now what happened? The queen, finding no other option, no other alternatives, she felt it's important to discuss this important situation with Tenali Raman if he can solve, okay, or bring some solutions to this tense situation. So what did the queen do? She started narrating the incident. Okay, she actually now from here, from this paragraph, we are going to know about the problem that actually evolved. Okay, it came up between the king and the queen. So she narrates the story. The king wrote a poem. The queen tells that, once the king had written a poem, her voice trembling, means she was actually, her voice was shivering, okay, recollecting the incident made her voice shiver a lot. It was filled with vague expressions: sun, moon, stars, beautiful sky, but it made no sense. Okay, so she's actually telling, my husband, he had written a poem. Okay, something about sun, moon, stars he was talking about. Maybe it was something about a nature poem. And when he tried, so she's telling when he tried to recite it to his ministers, they all avoided him, making excuses. It was late evening when he came to see me. Sorry, he came to me seeking an audience. Means since his ministers and everybody was actually ignoring him, so what she did, what did the king do? He came to his wife, okay, to tell the poem that he had actually. Finding no other person to listen to his poem very keenly and intently, he finally felt it's better that I recite the poem to my wife, to the queen. However, he began reciting it to me, but I was so exhausted. So exhausted means so tired after a tiring day. After a tiring day means maybe she had a lot of works to do. Okay, managing the whole empire and everything altogether made her very tired. That I yawned. Yawn means, when you feel sleepy, you do what? Oh, you do this, right? That is called yawning. Okay. So she is telling when the king was reciting the poem to me, I yawned not once, but several times. So maybe 4, 5 times, or 6, 7 times she had yawned before the king. The king thought I was disrespecting his poem and stormed off. Means she's telling that just as the king was reciting his poem and she was yawning for several times, the king felt that the queen has no interest, and that is the reason to show disrespect to my poem. She's not actually paying any attention. She is trying to give an excuse also. And looking at this expression of the queen, the king stormed off, means left the room, okay, left her chamber very furiatingly. Okay, means with a lot of fury, he actually went out of the room. Since then, he has not spoken to me. So since then, and since that day, the king hadn't spoken to the queen. If I had known this would happen, I would have chosen another day. So here, this line actually tells that the queen was not uh, she was not inattentive. Rather, you can tell, no, it's not that inattentive. It's not that she wasn't feeling to listen to the poem. She was so tired that it was actually preventing her from listening to the poem properly. Okay, this often happens. You will also see if anybody who is watching my video right now, if it is night time or maybe in the day, I don't know which time you people are watching this, but whenever you watch, if you're a bit tired, it may happen that several informations you may miss, or you may be a bit less attentive. But all this together doesn't mean that a person is disrespecting the other person. But here the king was infuriated. Why? Because he felt his queen is not listening to him. Okay, so she is telling, I would have chosen another day to actually listen to the king very keenly, to what actually he had written. Help me, please, Rama. Only you can help a king understand. So she's trying to say, Rama means here Tenali Ramakrishna. She was actually trying to tell Tenali, so you please go and explain this to the king. Let the king understand that I was not being disrespectful to him, but actually I was a bit tired. Please go and explain this opinion of mine to the king. Okay, now what happened? Rama nodded thoughtfully, means he was now engrossed in his thoughts. He was thinking how to settle this problem between the king and the queen. If you like, I will try my best to resolve this matter, Your Highness. But this needs a well planned approach, and I may need time to find the right strategy. Right strategy means wait 1 second. The right plan, strategy means the right the right plan to actually solve this problem. The queen, who had placed her last hope in Rama, agreed and thanked him profusely. Thanked him profusely means thanked him intently. With a lot of expectation, she actually thanked Tenali Raman. She's feeling like Tenali is the last hope, and he'll only be able to solve the problem, solve the differences between the king and the queen. The next morning, the royal court was bustling with activity. Means bustling with activity means it was so busy. It was so filled with several activities. The ministers, scholars, and courtiers filled the courtroom, its intricately carved pillars towering towards the high ceiling. Rays of sunlight streamed through the open windows, illuminating the floor adorned with exquisite rugs. Despite the lively chatter, attention hung in the air. The king sat on his ornate throne, his expression stern, his sharp eyes scanning the room. It was evident that the unresolved quarrel still gnawed at him. So what happened? This very paragraph clearly gives us an image or an idea of how lively a court actually is. However, despite several things happening here, the very difference of opinion between the king and the queen still lingers. Okay, and that difference is something very frustrating even to see for the courtiers. Okay, so this is what is being what should I say? This is what being told here in the story. So here it is said that ministers, scholars, courtiers all fill the courtroom. Obviously, courtroom will be filled with the knowledgeable persons. It's intricately carved, towering. Sorry, it's intricately carved pillars towering towards the high ceiling. So all this is talking about the detailed carvings in the empire of Krishna Devaraya. So this line actually tells how or it actually tells about the golden age or the golden era, so much filled with richness, so much filled with detailings, even in the walls or even in the pillars of a court. Okay, so rays of sunlight streamed through the open windows, illuminating the floor adorned with exquisite rugs. Exquisite rugs means rugs of fine qualities. Okay, very high quality rugs. Okay, see these lines, see, rays of sunlight streamed through the open windows. This line is very significant. Can anybody tell me why? The reason behind rays of sunlight, if we look into this line in a metaphorical way, don't we feel like rays of sunlight seem to be rays of hope coming through open windows? See, this open windows, doesn't this uh, phrase, okay, open windows, does this actually metaphorically refer to open minds? Means, so these two things, rays of sunlight and open windows. If we consider this to be metaphors for the story, we get to understand rays of sunlight actually means some hopeful ray is actually getting into the coach, or hope can get into the coach, into the life of a person, if the person on the other hand is open minded. So open windows can only allow sunlight, rays of sunlight to enter. Similarly, open mindedness can only allow you to bring hopes in your life. It can make you hopeful. So this line actually tells us, or this line gives us a hint that afterwards, towards the end of the story, the very problem can actually be wittily be solved by Tenali Raman. Okay, so this line is very important in the story. Illuminating the floor adorned with exquisite rugs. So, exquisite rugs means here, this is again a metaphorical thing. You can have rich things in your house. Okay, but if your windows are closed, if your doors are closed, if there is no light coming inside the room, can those richness be actually seen? No. So here it is said, so if I take this as a metaphor, I can understand the king can be a wise person, but his empire can be hopeful, his courtiers can be hopeful, he himself can be hopeful only if he has an open minded, I mean, if he embraces open mindedness. Okay, so this line is a very important line of this story. Okay, so despite the lively chatter, attention hung in the air. You know what tension is there? The tension is regarding the very difference of opinion, or also you can say another idea we will get to know about very soon, that something about paddy and crops and all those things, a kind of problem is actually going on. So about that also you can tell there are two kinds of tensions. One tension is about between the difference between the king and the queen. Second tension is about something that we'll get to know afterwards in the next page. Okay, the king sat on his ornate throne with his expression stern. So this actually tells when there is a difference opinion between two loved persons. Even rich things seems to be very gloomy. It seems to be so deadly. Okay, so this is a description that is actually given here. So it was evident that the unresolved quarrel still gnawed him, means still made him very disturbed. Okay, he was not in a very consolidated state of mind. Is it clear, my students? If you have any doubts, please ask me in the comment box. So now the tension. Okay, the second tension that we can talk about is the court discussion. The court discussion was centered on improving. Oh, wait one second, my dear students. One second. So it was actually the discussion was centered on improving paddy cultivation. So it was focusing on improving how to improve paddy cultivation. This was the discussion actually that was going on in the court. One by one, the ministers rose to present their ideas. Some suggested expanding irrigation networks, while others advocated for better manure. So, if any questions, short questions come from here, that the discussion, what was the discussion? I mean, what was the discussion that was going on in the court of Krishnadeva Raya's empire? You can tell it was on how to improve paddy cultivation in the empire. So some came up with different ideas. Some came up with expanding irrigation works. Means irrigation works means the water system, if it can be done properly, if it can be expanded properly, then paddy cultivation can reach to a greater height. While some others said that maybe good manure means good kind of manure, what is like the cow dung and all those things, different other things that can be used for the betterment or for improving paddy cultivation. Amid the suggestions, Tenali Rama stood quietly at the edge of the court, observing everyone with an amused smile. See the very calmness on his face. In tense situation, what happens? We become so furious, we don't even know what to do. And it actually tolls on our face. It says that we are in a very hard situation. But this Tenali Rama, after getting the kind of, it's like fulfilling the expectations of a queen. After getting such a hard task, he is so poised, he is so calm, he is so tranquil. Okay, so this actually makes Tenali Raman, this attitude can actually make witty person, can actually make intelligent people. Okay, so we'll obviously see all the time, when we'll see intelligent people always have a smile, a sweet smile on their face, which helps them become very calm altogether in themselves. Okay, so now, okay, let's focus on the story. Finally, the king called upon Rama. The chatter in the court died down as all eyes turned to him. Rama approached the throne carrying a plate full of paddy seeds. So what was Rama carrying? He was carrying a plate full of paddy seeds. Bowing low, he began, Your Majesty, I bring you a revolutionary type of paddy seeds. If this is sown, the yield will be 3 times greater than the current results. So Tenali Rama is coming up with a plan. He tells, My dear king, oh my dear lord, I'm coming up with a new variant, okay, new type of paddy seeds. Now, if this is sown, means if those are sown on the fields, what will happen? The yield will be 3 times. Yield means the harvest, okay. The harvest will be 3 times greater than the current results. Now, a murmur swept through the room. One of the courtiers, known for his sarcasm means criticism, okay, or you can say mockery, whispered just loud enough to be heard. He whispered so loudly. Whispers are something that we do so that other people cannot hear. But this man, okay, he whispered, but it was so loud that it could be heard by others. I wonder if these are magic seeds. Now this courtier, one of the courtiers, is mocking and telling, "Oh my God, Tenali, the seeds that you have brought, are those the magic seeds or what?" Next, he will claim they grow without water. It means it is a fun. It is like mocking another person. Okay, he's telling that it seems like Tenali has bought some magic seeds, and now he will claim, means he will tell that these seeds, if you sow them without water, it will yield 3 times greater than the current yieldings that is happening. Okay. Another muttered, perhaps he found them on the moon. So, see, this happens when a person comes up with a new idea and we do not understand their ideas and we start mocking. This is not a good thing. See this one. Where is it? This amused smile of Tenali Raman, and the sarcasm of the people actually brings in the difference between a person who is intelligent and a person who is not intelligent. So, intelligent people, they would never mock anybody. They will try to rectify your mistakes. But unintelligent people, they are ready to mock others. They're never going to see about their own problems. They're never going to understand what they are good at or bad at. They will not do so. They will try to find faults with others. Okay, sneakers rippled throughout the court. Sneakers rippled means, I mean, started people started laughing. Okay, not the people, the courtiers, the ministers, scholars, everybody started laughing amongst the other people. Okay, they started laughing with each other. The king frowned unimpressed. The king he had a frowned face. Frowned face means putting the eyebrows together and showing disgust, unimpressed state of mind. That sounds absurd. Now the king tells Thenali, what kind of a seat have you got? It seems so absurd. Absurd means something so impossible. Okay, utopia. He muttered, means he said, such cultivation would need special soil, manure, and pest and insect repellents. If by chance something were to go wrong, our farmers would suffer. Now, the king is telling, see, the seeds that you're talking about, maybe your seeds will give good yields, good harvest, but that kind of special seed would actually need special soil. What would be the requirement? Special soil, manure, good, high quality manure, pests, and insect repellents. Okay, these things would be needed if we have to sow such a type of seed. But if by any chance there is something wrong with the yield, then who will be at loss? The farmers would be at loss. So we can in no ways afford the seeds that you're actually talking about. Rama smiled unfazed, means, without any worries. He has no worries. Okay, no problem, my dear king. If you do not accept the seeds, I have no issues. But I have certain things to tell to you. Please listen to me. That may be true, your majesty. But the real issue lies not with the seeds themselves, but with the person who sows them. So, the logic, this stanza is important. Okay, the logic that that Tenali Rama puts forward, that is, he said, it's not with the seeds, my dear lord, it's with the person who sows them. Okay, so now let's see. Now what happens? Now it is said, a hush fell over the court as Rama's words hung in the air. The king's eyebrows furrowed means deepened. Okay, what is wrong with the person who sows the seeds? Speak clearly, Rama, he wrote. Now he is telling that you please clearly explain it to me. What's wrong with the people? What's wrong with the person who is sowing the seeds? Anybody can sow the seeds. What's wrong with the person? Anything wrong, it should happen with the seeds, but not with the person. You please explain it properly. I cannot understand what you're actually trying to say. Rama glanced around the court, his sharp gaze meeting the skeptical eyes of the courtiers. Skeptical eyes means doubtful eyes, means people who are so curious, like doubting the very idea of Tenali Rama. He actually looked at them. Then after that, what happened? If one were to sow seeds without proper care, no one would reap a good harvest. So he is telling, if one were to sow seeds without proper care, no one would reap a good harvest, he said, pausing for effect. And what if the person had a habit of yawning while sowing? Wouldn't the seeds scatter unevenly? Now now, see, this paragraph is again important. Why? This paragraph actually hints the audience, hints the readers, hints the king to understand the fault that he actually made. So he is telling, Tenali Rama is trying to tell that, see, my dear king, seed is not the problem. The person who is sowing the seeds, if he sows the seeds while yawning, then he cannot sow the seeds properly. The seeds will be scattered here and there, and because of that, the harvest will not be good. So, who is at fault? It is a person who is sowing while yawning. Understood? So, this word yawning draws attention to the king and everybody else. The court erupted into laughter. Everybody started laughing. The earlier sarcasm replaced by genuine amusement. Even the king caught off guard, sighed, and instinctively yawned. Now, what happened? The king, it shows that he went off guard, means he's a king. Yawning before courtiers means it is allowing the courtiers to think that the king is tired. But the king can never be tired. Okay, he cannot, or the king cannot show inattentive attitude towards his courtiers. So, but during this time, it was a light-hearted moment, and what happened? He also yawned. Okay, he became a bit inattentive and he also yawned. Rama watched him keenly, means very intently, eagerly, then continued, Your Majesty, is there anyone in this world who does not yawn? It is as natural as breathing. So, the logic given by Tenali. So, can you find a person in this world who doesn't yawn, who doesn't feel tired? And don't you think yawning is so similar to breathing? It is as natural phenomena. It is as natural as breathing. Don't you think it? Don't you think it to be so? The king's expression shifted as realization dawned. Means as realization came in, as he started realizing that my queen did not do anything wrong. She just yawned, and it was not her fault. His mind raced back to the quarrel with the queen. He remembered scolding her harshly for yawning while he recited his poem. He realized how unfair he had been. If I had known that yawning was not a sign of disrespect, I wouldn't have taken her gesture so personally. He thought, regret feeling his heart. Now he's thinking, see, at that very time, if I hadn't considered, like if I hadn't considered her yawning to be something disrespectful, or if I wouldn't have taken that too very personally, I wouldn't have quarreled with her. I wouldn't have behaved so harshly with her. So now the king starts realizing that the person who is at fault is the king himself. Okay, yawning is a very simple activity. Yawning is something very natural to humans, but scolding a person because of that, it is very bad. Okay, it is something very negative of a person, of his own attitudes. Now we come to the last part of the story, where it says, That evening the king approached the queen with a softened expression. Tirumallabal, he began, his voice gentle. I have been foolish. I see now that I overreacted. See, this is called regretting. Okay, for your activities. I let my pride blind me. I'm so sorry. He's telling I actually allowed my pride to take over my senses. So much so that I started being so rude, so harsh at you. I have been very foolish. The king tells that he had been very foolish. His voice is now very gentle. He approaches the queen very softly and tells that I overreacted. He tells that he had overreacted. He had allowed his pride to block his senses. Okay, so he is now feeling very sorry. So now, if anybody asks you what are the reactions after Tenali Rama taught the lesson to the king, you can write that he became very soft to his queen. Okay, he approached her very softly. He told that he had been very foolish, he had overreacted, and he allowed his pride to block his senses. And he started feeling very sorry. The queen, who had longed for this moment, smiled and replied, If you like, we can leave this quarrel behind us. I would very much like to listen to your poem. Now she is telling that, my dear king, it's all right. I have no issues. I'm very much eager to listen to your poem now. Let us forget all this quarrel. And she was actually waiting for this moment. She's a very soft-hearted person that we can understand from her approach. Rama, who had orchestrated the settlement, felt victorious. Orchestrated means arranged. Okay, who actually brought in this solution. Okay, he felt very victorious. He feels like I have won a battle. Okay, the king and the queen later presented him with valuable gifts for his service. The royal couple's bond was restored. The royal couple's bond was restored means the royal bond between the king and the queen was restored, means was again balanced. Okay, brought back properly. And the palace brimmed once again with joy and laughter. The palace was filled with laughter, joy, and happiness. See, the very beginning, I mean, the very discussion, I mean, before the discussion, the palace seems to be so filled with gloominess, so filled with darkness, so filled with sadness. But here, the very atmosphere changes, where the king and the queen settles their problems, okay, settles their misunderstandings. The whole empire, the whole court seem to filled with happiness. Same thing happens with our family. So from here, what we understand is misunderstanding brings in a lot of disaster in a family also. So we should try to solve our misunderstandings. We should try to understand what the other person is saying. Okay, if you don't understand that, then what will happen? We will be hopeless about our life. Okay, so that line again. You can have a lot of richness with yourself. You can be a very wealthy person. You can be a very wealthy person, but you do not, if you are not open-minded person, if you do not open your heart, you can never allow the ray of sunlight to enter in your life. You can never have that rays of hope within your life. Is it clear? I guess the story is clear to everybody. Okay, in the next class, I'll try to provide with a bit of summary of this story so that you can have a recapitulation, and I'll be discussing about the themes, okay, and if possible about the different types of questions that can come from this chapter. I'll try to discuss on that. Okay, so as of now, thank you my dear students. I'll be meeting with you in my next video. Okay, till that, bye bye to everybody, and if you have any problems, you definitely can comment it in the comment box. Okay, thank you my dear students. Thank you so much.